Hey guys, today we're going to look at division, and this is like a introduction to the short method, basically understanding how the short method works and actually why it works. So let's jump in and find ourselves a calculation. Here I have got myself a calculation which is a 3-digit number divided by a 1-digit number. So like in the other methods for the different operations, I'm just going to go ahead and label the different parts of each number so that I know which column they are in place value. So our first number, 874, the 4 is in the units column, the 7 is in the tens column, the 8 is in the hundreds column, and then of course our 1-digit number here is just in the units column, like that. Now in division, the number we're dividing by, in this case 7, is called the divisor, and the number we are dividing up is called the dividend. Some quite nice alternatives there to the root word for divide. So what I've got below here is a grid, because I'm going to visually show how we can use the short method for division and what is actually going on in this method, because it's quite important to understand how this works in relation to place value, rather than just learning it sort of mechanically. So to start with, I'm going to place my dividend into the place value. You'll see that I have got hundreds, tens and units, and I'm going to put them on top like this. So I have got 8 hundreds, I have got 7 tens, and I have got 4 units. Then I'm going to put the divisor just to the left here to help me remember what I am actually dividing by. Now underneath, to help me visualize this, to see what's happening, I am going to use base value counters, which are down the side here. If you just bear with me, I just need to infinite clone them. And they're going to help me see what is happening within this method. And you'll see what I mean in a minute. So to start off with, I'm just going to place down in each of the place value columns the number of place value counters that are needed. Now you'll see I've got hundreds, tens and ones. Although they're the same size, they're sort of visual representation of 100, 10 and 1. So in the hundreds column here, I can see I've got 800. So I'm going to grab myself 8 hundreds, like that. Then for the tens column, I can see I have got 7 tens. So I'm going to grab myself 7 tens as well, like that. And then in the units column here, I can see I have got 4 units. I'm just going to move these up actually to give myself a little bit more room. There we go. Okay, and I have got 4 units in the units column. So what we've done there is we've just basically visualized what's going on in each column. Now this method basically works on the grouping side of division. There are kind of two things that we use division for. One is sharing and one is grouping. And this one basically focuses on grouping. And what's important there is our divisor, the 7. So knowing your 7 times table here is quite useful. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to ask for each column how many groups of 7 I can make in each column. Now that's not how many groups of 7 units I can make, but how many groups of, say, how many groups of 7 hundreds I can make, how many groups of 7 tens can I make, and how many groups of 7 units can I make. Now, unlike the methods for addition, subtraction, multiplication, we actually start this method in the leftmost column, so the biggest column. Normally with most of the methods we start on the right hand side. This time for division we always start on the left hand side. So once again I'm going to ask the question, how many groups of 700s can I make in the hundreds column? And that's why you can see I've used these place values, because I can actually visually see. Now I've got 8 there, so I'm going to make a group of 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that is one group of 7. So what's gone on there is I've grouped the hundreds into the group of 7 that I can. So I've made one group of 7, and I write that above the hundreds column. So I've got one group of 7. Now you'll notice that I've got one left over. Now I can't make a group of 7 with that because I've only got one. But the beautiful thing about place value is I can then move this 100 into the tens column. Now I can't leave it as 100, but I can exchange that 100 for tens. Basically, when you move something into a different column, you exchange it for the amount of the equivalent amount. In this case, I've got 100, which is 10 tens. So I can exchange that 100 for 10 tens. I'm just going to keep them both out just so we can have a look. So I'm going to get myself 10 tens. So that's 5 tens. I'm going to cheat here a little bit, which is the beauty of using a computer. I'm just going to copy and paste. I hope you don't mind. Okay, so what I've done there is I moved this 100 into the tens column and then exchanged that for 10 tens. Now, what I need to remember then is just I need to remove that 100. Now, I haven't taken it away. I've just exchanged it for 10 tens because 10 tens is 100. Okay, so what's gone on? What's happened now is in my tens column, I haven't got 7 tens in there anymore. I've actually got 17 tens. So I've moved one of the hundreds into the tens column, which now gives me 17 tens. Now I'm going to ask the same question there. I'm going to ask how many groups of 7 tens can I make? How many groups of 7 tens can I make? So let's count up. Let's see how many groups we can make. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that is one group of 7 tens. Now in this case I can make another group. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And that is another group of 7 tens. Okay, so I've got two groups of 7 tens. So I put a 2 up here to tell me I've got two groups of 7 tens. Then what I'm going to do, I've got these 3 tens left over. Now once again, I can't make a group of 7 of these, so I need to move these into the units column. So I'm going to have to exchange each of these tens for 10 units, or 10 ones, which is quite a lot. I think you'll agree. So I'm going to do a quick copy and paste exercise. So I'm going to exchange this 10 for 10 ones. So let's get 5 ones out first of all, and hopefully we can speed along the process a little bit. Okay, so that's 5. So there we go. I've exchanged that 10 for those 10 ones. Then I'm going to exchange this 10 for another 10 ones, or 10 units, and then we can get, ooh, I don't want to move my group there, and remove that, and then lastly I've still got another 10 that I've had to move over into the units column, so I'm going to exchange that for another 10 units, and that gives me another 10 units. Now you can see there we've got loads of units now. So we no longer have 4, we actually have 10, 20, 30, 34. The reason being is we've moved 3 of the 10s from the tens column into the units. So like we did before, what we're actually doing is we're moving 3 in, so now we have 34 units. And once again, we're going to ask the question, how many groups of 7 units can I make? Now actually, you might have already started realizing that you can use your times tables for this. But let's do this as the way we've started. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that is one group. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That is another group. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That is a third group of 7 units. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That is another group of 7 units. And actually we have 6 remaining. So what I would do is I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 groups of 7 units. So I would put 4 here. Now, what about these 6 units at the bottom? I can't make a group of 7 with them. So there's different ways we can express this. You could actually keep going into decimals, which we won't do today. Or you could leave it as a remainder. Now, often we write that with an r, a lowercase r, and write the number that are left over. So in this case, it would be remainder 6. So the question is, what is 874 divided by 7? Well, then we can look at the top row here, and keeping our place value, that is actually 124, the remainder of 6. So if we would answer the question, it would be, oh no, not 126. Indeed, it is actually 124 with a remainder of 6. Now you could interpret that in different ways, but we will leave it there. That's essentially how the short method works. This is why it works, because it comes down to place value at the end of the day. If you were looking at it without using these place values to visualize, I'll show you what it looks like without. Let's just use our curtain here. If we took away the bottom, you can see you can still follow the steps. We made one group of 7 from the 800s here. We then moved the remaining one into the 10 column, and there we could make 2 groups of 7 tens. We then had to move the remaining 3 tens into the units column, which gave us 34 tens. We can make 4 groups of 7 with that, but we are left with a remainder. And that is an explanation as to how the short method actually works. And why it works. It's actually to do with grouping division rather than sharing division. So have fun, have a go, see how you get on. Until next time.